This is Viewers Corner News. Our news analysis today are on: bad leaders in African countries are mortgaging the lives of their people. Ex-Senate President PIUS ANYIM allegedly stated that he wishes to be president of Nigeria in 2023. Jake Sullivan, the United States National Security Advisor, will travel to Israel next week to discuss Iran. The United Arab Emirates has put a halt to talks with the United States over a $23 billion military purchase. Belarus opposition leader SERGEI TIKHANOVSKY has been sentenced to 18 years in prison. Some governors in Nigeria are unable to control insecurity and bring economic development to their states but want to lead Nigeria in 2023. Stay with us. Bad leaders in African countries are mortgaging the lives of their people. The Viewers Corner news team is calling on leaders in all countries in Africa to go back to the drawing table to figure out how they will make their various countries work better. We urge them to stop relying on the International Monetary Fund and other financial institutions to make decisions for African countries. Leaders of the International Monetary Fund sit in their comfort zones and advise African leaders on how to run the affairs of their various countries, thereby making them look incompetent. If you look at countries in Africa, none of them is without debt. If you examine where the borrowed money was invested, you may not find any answer to such a question. It is either stolen by leaders of Africa and deposited in the banks of advanced countries for safekeeping for themselves and their families, while millions of Africans live in abject poverty. The most surprising aspect is that each time these incompetent African leaders request loans, the International Monetary Fund will easily give them without asking questions about how the past loans they took were spent, which is bad. The Viewers Corner news team is appealing to the International Monetary Fund and other financial institutions in the world to stop lending money to African leaders in an attempt to help solve the economic problems in their various countries. This is because those loans they borrowed allegedly ended up in their private pockets, which is sad.
Ex-Senate President PIUS ANYIM allegedly stated that he wishes to be president of Nigeria in 2023. Information reaching Viewers Corner News revealed that the ex-Senate President of Nigeria, Mr. PIUS ANYIM, would want to be the President of Nigeria in 2023. As a Nigerian, it is the right of everyone who believes that he or she has what it takes to lead the country to vie for the #1 job in the country. The Viewers Corner news team believes that the ex-Senate President of Nigeria and his quest to lead the country in 2023 will be dead on arrival because his records when he was the Senate President of Nigeria were filled with lots of deceit and victimization of his political opponents based on our findings. The ex-Senate President of Nigeria, Mr. PIUS ANYIM, would not make a good president of the country. He would take laws into his own hands and would not care about the welfare of the people of Nigeria, which is the truth, take it or leave it. The Viewers Corner news team would continue to remind leaders and would-be leaders of Nigeria that if you are in a position of authority, do your best to ensure that things are properly done the right way because you never know where your faith will lead you in the future. Most leaders in Nigeria believe that once they are in power, they can do as it pleases them without thinking of others. They forget that their position is not a forever thing. If they leave office and have performed badly for the people of the country, anytime their names are mentioned, most especially on issues of leadership, voters in the country will reject them. This is exactly what would happen to ex-Senate President PIUS ANYIM and others who may be planning to contest for the presidency in 2023.
Jake Sullivan, the United States National Security Advisor, will travel to Israel next week to discuss Iran. Viewers Corner news correspondent learned that the United States National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, is expected to visit Israel next week for talks on Iran as discussions in Vienna are ongoing on a possible return to the 2015 nuclear deal. The Israeli government is worried that if the way back to the original accord is blocked, the Biden administration would opt for a lesser deal. This would relieve Iran of sanctions without requiring it to abandon its nuclear program. During Obama's regime, Mr. Jake Sullivan took part in private discussions with Iran that resulted in the 2013 Joint Plan of Action, another interim nuclear accord. According to the report, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan recently proposed an interim agreement to his Israeli colleague if a return to the 2015 pact proves difficult. Mr. Sullivan is scheduled to meet with Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, Foreign Minister Yair Lapid, and Defense Minister Benny Gantz. He will also travel to Ramallah to speak with Palestinian leaders.
The United Arab Emirates has put a halt to talks with the United States over a $23 billion military purchase. In a rare dispute between the United States and the United Arab Emirates, the key U.S. ally in the Persian Gulf has halted talks on a $23 billion agreement to buy American-made F-35 jets, armed drones, and other equipment. According to the report our correspondent in New York gathered, the United Arab Emirates Embassy in Washington stated that it would halt conversations with the U.S. The embassy also stated that other meetings between the two countries scheduled at the Pentagon will take place as planned. The proposed sale of 50 F-35 fighter jets to the United Arab Emirates came at the end of former President Donald Trump's presidency, following an agreement in which the Emiratis signed a peace deal with Israel. After President Joe Biden took power, the deal was temporarily suspended because of the criticism of the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia for their decade-long war in Yemen, which led to one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. Viewers Corner News correspondent learned that the contract includes 18 advanced drone systems as well as a package of air-to-air and air-to-ground weapons. United Arab Emirates officials accuse the United States of imposing restrictions on how and where the F-35s can be employed, claiming that this is a breach of the United Arab Emirates' sovereignty. The U.S. spokesperson, John Kirby, said that U.S. demands for the employment of American-made military equipment are global, non-negotiable, and not targeted at the United Arab Emirates.
Belarus opposition leader, Sergei Tikhanovsky has been sentenced to 18 years in prison. Viewers Corner News correspondent in Berlin learned that a court in Belarus has imprisoned opposition leader, Sergei Tikhanovsky to 18 years in prison for instigating an unprecedented anti-authoritarian protest movement against dictatorial President Alexander Lukashenko last year. According to the report, the court found the 43-year-old Tikhanovsky guilty of organizing riots and inciting social hatred, among other crimes, and convicted him after trial behind closed doors at a prison center in the southern city of Gomel. The United States, the European Union, the United Kingdom, and Canada have announced fresh sanctions against Belarus. Sergei Tikhanovsky's wife, a self-exiled Belarus Democratic champion, Svetlana Tikhanovskaya has condemned the verdict. After her husband was sentenced, she commented on Twitter, stating that the Belarus dictator, Alexander Lukashenko, openly takes revenge on his strongest opponents. The 65-year-old prominent politician Mykola Statkovich was also sentenced to 14 years in prison as one of Tikhanovsky's 5 co-defendants in the high-profile case. Mykola Statkovich ran against Lukashenko in the 2010 elections, but was found guilty and sentenced to 6 years in prison. He was forbidden from running in the 2020 election after being released in 2015. He was rearrested and has been in detention with Sergei Tikhanovsky since May 2020. Their trial, which began in June, was kept secret. Since enormous protests that erupted after the 2020 election, which the West regarded as unfair, dictator Lukashenko, who has been in power since 1994, has been cracking down on opponents. All of Lukashenko's notable opponents have been imprisoned or fled the country. Sergei Tikhanovsky had planned to run against Lukashenko in the presidential election in Belarus in August 2020, but he was arrested and imprisoned before the poll. His wife, Tikhanovskaya, took his position in the elections and was largely regarded to have won the elections. Igor Losik, 29 years old, a co-defendant in the case, was sentenced to 15 years in jail on Tuesday. He was jailed on suspicion of inciting riots through his popular Telegram channel. Also, blogger Vladimir Zhignienovich, as well as 2 activists, Artyom Sakov and Dmitry Popov, associated with Tikhanovsky, are the other 3 co-defendants in the case. Vladimir Zhignienovich was sentenced to 15 years in prison, while Artyom Sakov and Dmitry Popov were each sentenced to 16 years in prison. Tikhanovsky's wife was compelled to flee Belarus to Lithuania after President Lukashenko initiated a crackdown in the aftermath of the referendum, which was regarded as unfair by the West. She gained recognition as Belarus's main opposition leader from Western nations and has been fighting for reform in the country ever since. Maria Kolesnikova, another opposition leader, was sentenced by a Belarusian court to 11 years in jail in September for breaking national security and plotting to seize power. Viktor Babariko, another opposition leader, was sentenced to 14 years in prison on charges of fraud in July.
Some governors in Nigeria are unable to control insecurity and bring economic development to their states but want to lead Nigeria in 2023. The people of Nigeria should think properly before casting their votes for anyone, as the 2023 elections draw nearer. The Viewers Corner News team has seen the lineups of those wanting to lead Nigeria in 2023. If you examine their profiles properly, you will discover that most of them are not trustworthy. Some of them are serving governors or ex-governors. In their states, insecurity has been uncontrollable. Bandits and terrorists have taken over some areas in their states. The economic situations of their various states are in shambles. They lack the managerial capability to lead. Therefore, allowing such a group of individuals to be at the helm of the affairs of Nigeria would create more problems for the people of the country. Based on this, the Viewers Corner news team is appealing to voters in Nigeria to have a rethink by rejecting this group of leaders without vision, who have been in power for so long without achieving much for their states. Again, Nigerian voters should vote for people with wisdom and foresight who will take the country to the next level. A situation where those elected to lead will sincerely tackle insecurity and create jobs for the people of Nigeria. If you want to get more analysis on politics and good governance, health issues and others, subscribe to our channel and click on the notification bell. Thanks for watching. This is Viewers Corner News YouTube channel.